Out to Move the Stars, a bicycle ride twice around the world by Jacob Lemansky. Chapter 1, Portugal. February 5th, 2013, Prelude. All the way out and all the way back. This is a game I sometimes play when I go running. I head in one direction until I'm tired, then I turn around and try to get back to where I started. The fun comes from seeing how far away I can get, knowing that every step forward makes the return more difficult. In 11 days, I'm leaving on a bicycle journey that will take me around the world. I will pedal to the far side of the earth, then try to get home, all the way out and all the way back. My journey will begin in Lisbon, Portugal with Katie, who I've been dating for the past year. She'll join me for 6 weeks across Europe before flying back home to Colorado. This will be her first bicycle tour, and I'm glad she's coming, but I worry she won't like it. To ride a bicycle all day and sleep outside is a particular sort of fun. I don't leave for another 10 days, but I'm ready. I've planned out all the gear we'll carry on our bikes. I want to be prepared, but anything extra will take up space and weigh us down. So I'm bringing only what is needed, nothing more, and hopefully, nothing less. I've also handed in my 2-week notice at my engineering job. Plane tickets are purchased, and I have a fresh passport in hand. There's hardly anything left to do. Just begin. I feel as though I'm fast approaching a cliff, trusting that when I get there, my wings will open. I'm excited and scared. February 10th, 2013. Feeling ready. The desire to learn what I am capable of is foundational to my character. I feel the pressure of having only one lifetime to figure it out. I've made my hobby picking something that I cannot do, then practicing until I can. What I pursue has never been so important. The persistence and rigor of learning is actually what I enjoy. I like the sensation of becoming competent. Through many goals, achieved or not, I have come to understand that what I am capable of is never defined by my successes. Success is merely a good place to stop. Only through failure have I learned where my limits are, achieving exactly what I can, and nothing less. When I conceived to ride a bicycle around the world, I was trying to think of something so difficult that I would surely fail. Over the following months, I thought more about what such a journey would require of me, and slowly I came to recognize the characteristics within myself that would give me a chance to succeed. Importantly, I'm physically strong and sturdy, have no allergies to food, plants, or stings. Persistent slow progress is oddly satisfying to me. Even the lifestyle fits. I've always felt comfortable living an unencumbered, austere existence, and I've never liked to shower. Now, a year and a half since I first had the idea, I see myself as uniquely capable of bicycling around the world. My coming journey has become more than a means to challenge myself. By going and being witness to the earth and the people upon it, I'll capture the world in a human experience. I believe the resulting story will be my greatest contribution to humanity. Having realized this, I have no choice but to go, as though it were my destiny. February 15th, 2013. Beginning. The way in which I am choosing to travel is an attempt to emulate the sense of adventure and discovery that great explorers felt in a time before they could Google what was over the horizon. Men like Marco Polo, Francis Drake, Magellan, and James Cook, they will forever be known for their bravery because they lived in the unknown, blind to what lay ahead, their self-reliance absolute. I appreciate the purity of that style of adventure, and so, this is the way I will also travel. To cultivate my sense of discovery, I haven't researched anything about the route ahead. In written history, explorers have only truly discovered Antarctica. All other expeditions found lands full of people. Like those explorers, what I will discover is only going to be new to me, but that's all I'm looking for. My intention is to need nothing more than what I bring with me. Like a ship at sea, I will be fully self-reliant. I pack clothes for blistering heat as well as frigid nights. I have the tools and spare parts to maintain my gear. I'll sleep in a hammock that has bug mesh and a rain fly. and I have a small tent for when there are no trees. Only my food and water will be replenished as I go. The length of the journey will require as much endurance mentally as physically. To help occupy my mind, I'm bringing a travel guitar. The body is short and narrow, but the neck still hangs off the back of my bike like a tail. I've never played guitar before, so I'll have to learn as I go. Like explorers across time, I've been saying goodbye to everyone who will miss me. The last day of my job was yesterday. I designed air conditioners for helicopters. The work was good, but hard to be passionate about. My coworkers all wish me luck, each in their own way, saying, "I wouldn't do it, but I hope you can." My parents and 2 sisters have been less encouraging, but they know me too well to ask me to stay. Perhaps they understand that such grand expeditions don't always return. I don't know how dangerous this trip will be. I'm simply choosing to not think about that. Tomorrow morning I will leave my home in Boulder, Colorado, and I don't know when I will return. For our last dinner, Katie and I ordered Chinese takeout. My fortune cookie read, "You have the endurance for the long haul." February 17th, 2013, Portugal. I'm starting in early spring because of the temperature. Hopefully I'm leaving late enough that the cold has left Europe, and early enough that winter won't be back before I'm through Siberia. I hadn't considered the weather though, and rain was coming down when Katie and I landed in Lisbon. We arrived after a day and night of navigating flights and connections. I unboxed our bicycles in the airport lobby and spent 2 hours mounting the wheels, pedals, seats, and handlebars before strapping on our bags of gear and my guitar. Hoisting my bike upright, I lifted for the first time the fully loaded weight of 110 pounds. I was surprised by the heft and nervous about handling such a bulky setup. Katie and I needed to get across town to the hotel we booked. I looked around trying to figure out where I was, but the signs were all in Portuguese. I got out my tablet to check the map, but the rain immediately fell on the screen, which then stopped responding to my touch. We hadn't even started, and I was already lost. To check the map, I ducked under bus shelters and awnings as we crossed Lisbon. My bicycle felt cumbersome and unstable. The roads were steep, paved in cobblestone, slick from rain and busy with traffic. There were no bike lanes, and I feared I would be clipped by a car. By the time we arrived at the hotel, my confidence was shaken, and I was wondering what I had gotten myself into. Katie, on the other hand, seemed completely unfazed. February 18th, 2013, leaving Lisbon. The room Katie and I were sleeping in had a thick curtain over the window. The 7-hour time difference, long flight, and days of preparation left me exhausted. My body didn't know when morning was, and I slept for 13 hours without stirring, waking up only when the hotel owner banged on the door for us to check out. I planned to leave Lisbon biking along the coast, but the mile-wide Tagus River swept south of the city, blocking our route. The only road crossed a grand suspension bridge reaching 1.5 miles between hilltops and held 200 feet over the water. From below, the bridge was intimidating, but without another option, we began climbing the hill towards the entrance. At a stoplight, 4 different drivers yelled to us that bicycles are not allowed on the bridge. If just one person said something, I might have checked anyways, but 4 was too many to ignore. I checked the map again and saw a dotted line crossing the water, so Katie and I headed that way looking for a ferry. I got lost twice navigating the different neighborhoods, but eventually we got on the main road going in the right direction. There was a lot of traffic and not much room for the cars to pass. I was feeling stressed and worried about Katie, who has done much less road biking than I have. She was completely fine though, and in a good mood as we rode the ferry to the quieter side of the river. The rest of the day we made our way south through a sprawl of towns that blended one into the next. We didn't get too far before losing our daylight, but just far enough to find an open space for camping. Katie and I pushed our bikes around the back of a large grocery store and hung the hammock between a couple of scrubby trees. For our first night of camping, the spot is pretty good. February 19th, 2013. Eggs. Rain fell in the night but began to clear out in the morning. We continued on past misty farm fields and wet green pastures, but we didn't get far before reaching another wide river delta requiring a ferry to cross. As we motored out onto the water, a wide view opened up of the forested mountains, industrial docks, and a small city of white buildings built along the water. Once on the other side, we found a small cafe to sit in, but ordering breakfast was a challenge. I'd never been to a place where I couldn't speak the language, and I also didn't know what people ate for breakfast in Portugal. I tried to order eggs, but that seemed to be an unusual request. Katie stepped in to help, as well as two locals sitting at the next table over. They didn't speak English either, but with enough miming, we were able to order a plate of scrambled eggs with cheese and bread. After 40 miles of biking, Katie and I pulled into a campground as the sun was getting low. I don't generally like campgrounds, but this one appeared at the right time of day. Hardly anyone else is here. The stars are coming out, and the night is quiet. I'm going to sleep well. I always sleep a little better when I'm somewhere that I'm allowed to be. February 20th, 2013. Pilgrim. Not long after we started bicycling this morning, we pulled into a market with a homeless man sitting in front. He had a walking stick and satchel and was asking people for money. His hair was long and gray, and he had on worn-out clothes and a dirty coat. He obviously had been living on the street for a long time. What struck me is that he seemed completely at ease in his wild state. As I approached, he smiled as if he knew me and said in English, "You are a pilgrim. So am I." I hadn't thought of myself as a pilgrim. There's no religious motivation for what I am doing. However, I'm on a path to go as far as I can, and reaching that place will surely be a spiritual journey. I nodded at the man and replied, "So I am," then gave him a few euros. Katie and I took a break where the road ran adjacent to a white sand beach. My goal is to bicycle from this coast to the next, and I wanted to dip my toe in the water. I stepped onto the wet sand and touched the edge of the Eurasian continent. I remember the moment when I reached the other side. Tonight our hammocks are in a good spot, hanging in a patch of cork trees. The useful part of a cork tree is the thick bark, which has been completely stripped from the trunks, exposing the reddish wood below. I was surprised the tree survived, but in fact the bark will regrow in 7 years to be harvested again. February 21st, 2013. A plate of meat. This morning I woke up with the sun and looked out across the misty farm field. Rain came in the night, but Katie and I stayed dry in our hammocks. We biked south through a quiet forest of pine trees. Dark clouds hung low in the sky, and a downpour forced us to take shelter in a shed next to a gas station. The tin roof roared as the rain came down in sheets. Avoiding the rain later in the day led us into a bar where a half-dozen men sat drinking. They all gave us a long look as we walked in. We told the waiter we wanted something to eat, and they didn't even bother bringing us a menu. A few minutes later we were served a plate of various cooked meats, sausage, potato, and cabbage. We were both cold from the weather, and that was the perfect meal to warm us up. Katie had to work tonight. She does research for a wilderness therapy company, and right now she's collecting data to determine the effectiveness of their program for teens. She's excited that the project might yield her first published paper. Her work can be done from anywhere, so we are in a bed and breakfast in a quaint country village on a hillside. The homes are densely built, almost like row homes, and across the whole town, every building is painted white and has a red tile roof. Many of the Portuguese towns look like this, and I do enjoy that they all match. Our room tonight is simple, but has everything we need. I've got our gear hanging from the curtain rod to dry, and the air is becoming humid. Katie looks relaxed with her office set up on the bed. I might be jealous that she gets to work from anywhere, except I don't have to work at all. February 22nd, 2013. Under a bridge. This evening, dark gray clouds loomed over us as we followed a quiet road past miles of homes, each on their own small plot of land. We had been searching for a place to sleep for over an hour and were quickly running out of daylight. Starting this early in the year shortens the days, something I hadn't considered when picking a starting date. I also expected that finding places to sleep would be easier. I didn't realize the population density of Europe is 3 times greater than the United States. As we biked along, there were no forests for our hammocks, and the orchards were all behind fences. I really didn't plan well for a situation where we couldn't find trees. For backup, I have a tarp and a one-person bivvy, basically a water-resistant shell for a sleeping bag. Neither would keep us particularly dry. I was unsure of what to do, nervous that we were about to get caught in the dark in the rain with nowhere to sleep. Just as the first drops of a downpour began to fall, the road passed under a highway, and we decided to stay. The bridge actually crosses a whole neighborhood, and we walked beneath the platform to find a place to sleep. I looked for a high spot for us, but this whole area is flat. We put the tarp on the ground, then, to deflect the splashing, folded half the fabric over us like a taco. As we lay here, the rain is continuing to fall, and puddles are slowly creeping closer. Katie seems to be okay with being here, or at least resigned to it. This trip is really my thing, and so she has largely conceded the leadership role to me, trusting that it would take us forward safely and comfortably. I don't want to let her down, yet here we are, less than a week in, and I'm asking her to sleep in a puddle. I feel deeply embarrassed. What really pains me is that we are under a bridge. I resist labeling myself as homeless, yet sleeping under a bridge is a core convention of homelessness. I live outside and sleep on the ground with no job, permanent residence, or responsibility. I don't identify as homeless, but here, under this bridge, I struggle to explain why not. February 23rd, 2013. Beautiful day. Last night, the rain puddles surrounded us, but we managed to avoid them by inches in every direction. We didn't get much sleep, though, and left early in a light fog, passing orchards and homes on our way east through rolling hills. As I pedaled, the clouds broke up, the sun came out, and I felt happy. Katie was feeling good, too, climbing the hills easier than me and enjoying the pretty towns along the way. After a full day of bicycling, we arrived in the city of Tavi in search of somewhere more comfortable to sleep than under a bridge. We picked a hotel near the Galeo River, which runs through the city. Then as the sky grew dark, we went out for a walk to explore the neighborhood. I held Katie's hand and admired the streetlights, the dark blue clouds reflected off the low-moving water. We finished the night in a quiet restaurant with a sweet custard dessert. I felt very safe walking back to the hotel in the dark. The people that we've met across Portugal have all been friendly, and they have also all been old. Because of this, everywhere we go feels safe. The age demographics are the result of Portugal having one of the lowest birth rates in the world, and with the opening of the European Union, young people have traveled to more exciting places than the sleepy Portuguese farm towns. I appreciate the low crime rate, but something seems amiss to bike through a whole town without seeing any children or even any young adults.